The Judicial Conduct Tribunal probing sexual harassment allegations against top judge of the Eastern Cape Division of the High Court, that's Judge President Selby Mbenenge, entered its second day today. This is the first time that a tribunal will be probing allegations of this nature in the judiciary. To give us a wrap of today's proceedings is SABC News senior reporter Canny Maphanga. Good afternoon, Canny. Thank you very much for joining us. So it's day 2 of the probe, but just for the benefit of those who might have not been following day 1, just talk us through the allegations that have been leveled against the Judge President.
Well, good afternoon to you, Mfunda, and to the viewers at home. We'll be dealing with sexual harassment allegations here in the workplace. So the complainant, who is a judge's secretary in the Eastern Cape Division of the High Court, has written a complaint stating that between the periods of June 2021 to November 2022, she was allegedly sexually harassed by the top judge in the form of in-person interactions as well as electronic communications, that is through the form of WhatsApps, which you've seen playing out over the past 2 days.
And then to today's proceedings, what did the tribunal hear?
Well, essentially what we're going through is those various WhatsApps. The evidence leader is combing through those WhatsApps to try and see elements of alleged sexual harassment that would have taken place, and of course to obviously close those loopholes that will exist, because you know in cases like this the burden does shift from the alleged perpetrator to the victim, and they have to then explain how those interactions took place. So there are a lot of messages that will prompt questions regarding why the complainants may have felt compelled to respond, and the nature of those responses and why she felt the need to respond in that particular manner, the kind of power dynamics that emanate out of those WhatsApp trail messages as well, because you're dealing with a very senior judge in the judiciary as a whole, but in the Eastern Cape Division of the High Court, I don't think it gets any more senior than that. And then of course she is a very junior legal professional, because she is a judge's professional, or rather judge's secretary, and she would have started quite early at that stage. She wouldn't have been quite prominent in her role yet. So we're dealing with power dynamics, and then of course we're dealing with a single mother who has a job and needs to maintain that job, and then is confronted with this challenging issue in the workplace.
Now, this probe, Canny, is categorized as gross misconduct. What would the Judge President stand to lose if he were found guilty of this gross misconduct?
Well, if the tribunal completes its probe and reaches a gross misconduct finding, they'll then compile that report and send it to the JSC to consider. If the JSC considers it and decides that that sanction is appropriate and finds him guilty of gross misconduct, he's now in the realm of impeachment, which means that the matter would have to be referred to the National Assembly for a vote, where 2/3 is required to remove a judge from office. And we've seen already the process that plays out with respect to that. It could be some time before you see this matter come to a conclusion, but he is, if found to be guilty of gross misconduct, facing impeachment.
Now, we saw interesting reports of by Moses Kakani that, as the advocate representing the Judge President, that there would be a time that they would call on the former Chief Justice Raymond Zondo to come and clarify certain aspects of the allegations. What more do we know about that statement?
Well, that statement hasn't been elaborated or placed on record yet by the advocate, but we do know when these allegations came to the fore, the Chief Justice of the Republic of South Africa was then Chief Justice, or retired Chief Justice, Raymond Zondo. So he would have dealt with that complaint and referred it to the JCC, as well as initiated that process for it to begin to where we see it today with the probe. So of course, one would expect that it is centered around that particular process, and maybe the council have answers that need clarification from that. Beyond just the name of the former Chief Justice, do we know who could possibly be subpoenaed in this specific probe? Not yet. We're currently dealing with the WhatsApp messages, which I think forms a part of the bulk of the evidence with regards to these allegations, because remember, she's alleging that it took place in in-person interactions and of course WhatsApp messages. Of course, the WhatsApp messages are there, they're in the file. They're currently combing through those messages to get an understanding as to how she read these messages and how she responded. But of course, with the in-person evidence, I'm sure that would need to be corroborated by various witnesses. All right, Canny, thank you very much for that update. That was SABC News senior reporter Canny Maphanga.